Hi guys, welcome to a new episode of In Other Words with Danielle and Zara.
So this is a podcast where we talk about a wide variety of different subjects, from assumptions to scary stories, which, spoiler alert, is today's episode.
Wow.
So in other words, we talk about
all the things. How cute is that?
The cutest.
Yes.
Okay,
so,
Danielle, how are you?
I am, well, thank you. I'm going to say that I am feeling a little bit anxious because Devin is not on the Zoom call with us. I am busy recording on my other work laptop, which is in my room. So I've been running back and forth, basically trying to make sure everything's okay. So if there's something wrong with the video, blame Devin. He should have made this a priority, and he didn't.
He should have.
He is getting his degree.
And then degree. I don't understand why you would put
Zara, I agree.
your
but
degree
I can't
above
say
a
that.
podcast where you earn no money and get nothing in
know.
return for the work that you do.
I know. Honestly.
Anyways, some
But
people make no
other than that, I'm
sense.
fine. And how are you, Zara?
I am well. Since I've already shared it with the podcast before, it's not TMI anymore, but I got my period and it's awful, awful, awful.
Oh, I'm sorry
It's
about
quite
that.
awful. So today
at
I've
least you
just
have
been
it.
lying around pretending that I'm sick. I'm not really sick, but it low-key feels like it.
That's
But
fair.
otherwise, I'm well. It is well with my soul.
I'm so happy for you.
Yes.
Question, and this is only because I was on Facebook. I know, like, who am I? Such an old person. And, and I saw there was someone posted a question that was asking, what else should people get sick days for? And a lot of people were saying periods. So do you think people should get sick days for having their periods? Like, if they are feeling unwell, what do you think?
I think that I want to say yes. I really do. But it's like, I don't know, some people can function perfectly fine with their period. And the only issue is, if you're getting your period 5 days a month, like, how do you regulate how many sick days you can give someone for their period? So, I don't know.
I know. It is a difficult question. For me,
I would just, if it was really bad, I'd just take a normal sick day's leave and be like,
yeah,
sorry.
no, exactly, because it's like you are basically
Or I
feeling sick
will
anyway.
come and scream at everyone and bleed all over your office. So, choice
Ooh,
is yours.
Scary. That is
Yummy.
horrifying.
First scary story.
Very scary story indeed. Yeah. Well, I also think that it is a weird question, but I think that everyone should just do what they want all the time. So
Yes, I agree. Even murderers, honestly.
yes.
Okay.
I don't actually think that. Okay.
On the topic of murder, don't worry, we have no murder stories, but we do have some scary stories. So this is similar to our episode. We did an episode in season, I don't remember, possibly season 2, where we spoke about embarrassing stories, and we had a ton of you guys submit things or your stories to SurveyMonkey, which is the platform we use, and it is anonymous, so we do not know who is sending us these things. And it was a super fun episode, getting to laugh with you and at you.
At you.
And so now today we are going to be again reading your stories. I've only read through these once, and it was like 3 weeks ago, so actually my memory's not great. I will say this is like a range of stories.
Oh, yeah.
From like really silly, scary stories to genuinely serious, terrifying stories. So just trigger warning already for that. We also have some personal stories. And so, yeah, we'll be sharing that, but buckle up and I hope you enjoy. Switch all the lights off. Although, if you're in South Africa, Eskom's probably done it for you already.
We are actually having a collaboration with Eskom just for this
Yes.
episode.
Yes, of course.
Use our code.
If you want some electricity,
Yeah.
maybe we'll hook you up. Who knows?
Maybe. Who knows? Yeah.
Okay,
So if
Danielle.
you're not following, I just want to tell people that if they're not following us on Instagram, they must follow us
Yes.
at, in other words, _podcast,
Underscore
because
podcast.
that's where we post everything, and that's where you'll be updated if we are asking for your stories or anything, and we regularly ask for different submissions.
Yes.
So
In fact, I think this episode and probably the next two that we're going to release is largely based on the things that you guys have submitted. So we kind of need you. So
please
join the fam.
Yeah, I love it though.
Okay.
It's so fun. Okay.
It is so
Shall
fun.
we start? Do you want to read the first story, Zara?
Sure. Okay. Cool. I was about 2 or 3 years old, so I obviously don't remember this. But my mom has told me this spooky story a couple of times, and it gives me goosebumps every time. I had a little yellow summer dress that got ripped, so my mom hung it up in the spare room to be fixed at a later stage. The room was at one end of the hall, and I was playing with some toys at the other end. My mom was a few feet away from me, but couldn't see down the hall. It was just my mom and I at home. So my mom says the next moment I looked up down the hall. I looked up down the hall and said, why is that girl wearing my dress? Hectic. Without looking, my mom instantly took me and rushed out of the house. After a while, though, we re-entered the house and there was no quote-unquote other girl. And my dress was still hanging in the spare room. Spooky.
That is spooky.
That is weird.
I don't like that.
I don't like that either. And the fact that it was a yellow dress just makes me sad and scared. I don't like it at all.
Shame. I think, first of all, it's pretty impressive that your mom believed you, because I feel like, okay, if I'm being completely honest, if my child had to say something like that, I would be like, do you need glasses? Because I am actually not a superstitious person. I'm a little stitious.
Amen.
Wow, could hardly say that. Yeah, I'm really not a superstitious person. So even, when people tell me like their ghost encounters or anything in general, I'm like, how do you know it wasn't the wind, you know? I don't know.
Yes.
What do you think, Zara? Do you believe in ghosts?
I don't believe in ghosts in the traditional way that people believe in ghosts. As if someone dies in a place and then their ghost just like haunts that place and just floats around. I don't necessarily believe that, but I definitely believe that there are spirits and things at work, that there's definitely a spiritual realm. But I think in the West specifically, we are less sensitive there too. I don't even know if that was the right English, but yes. And you?
Yeah, I actually think that the more you believe in something, the more you are going to see it.
Yeah.
So, but it, in general though, like for someone, let's say, who feels like there's a ghost or something, for me, I could look at the same thing and I'll be like, no, I don't think it's a ghost. I think it's something else, because I don't necessarily believe in ghosts. I do certainly believe that there are like spiritual things going on. And like, I don't want to ever dismiss anyone's stories, because I mean, a lot of people have a lot of stories about very similar things. I know, like, sometimes you do get a bad vibe. I've heard stories of...
For sure.
I've heard stories, I can't remember from who, but basically some relative or someone they know's relative is, like, they deal a lot with, not like, what's it called when they cast out demons again?
Exorcism.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily like that, but they do have almost like a gift where they can sort of feel if there's some sort of presence. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to deny that.
Yeah.
But even so, like, even if ghosts are real in the traditional sense, they can't really do anything to hurt you.
No.
I think. It's
They're
just
not something to be
anything.
feared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I think.
Okay. Well,
But
I think
spooky.
it's difficult to like take the word of a little human.
But children also do seem to see those things.
Because they still have their childlike sense of wonder. They don't question things the way that we do. So it is interesting.
Yeah, a little bit spooky. Okay, that's why you should never have children. Okay,
that is exactly why.
Okay, this next one is a very different story, and
yes,
this person just wrote
to on so many
my
levels.
maths homework. Yeah, okay. He said my maths homework genuinely. Yeah,
that
true.
Is scary.
I actually get nightmares about having to write a maths exam that I haven't studied for.
The amount of times I've dreamt, not so much, like not as many times as you, because that is like a perpetual issue that you have, is this recurring matric final nightmares.
Oh my word.
But it's always
my
maths.
mom still gets those dreams.
Hectic. Not a time.
Yeah. No, both of us we found maths very traumatic.
And if you are a regular listener to this episode, you will know that we speak about maths very often. But if you like maths, then that's cool.
Yeah. I think maths is cool, but I never want to do it again. Thank you.
No. Amen.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I pray that your maths homework will come to an end so soon.
Yes.
Okay, next story. Not really scary. Okay.
Well, why did you write this in?
Okay. But I was a bit worried at the time. I was a nurse at a state hospital, which is scary, by the way. Some state hospitals can be quite scary. True. I was nursing a very ill man and was drawing blood. I accidentally pricked myself and the dirty needle went in quite deep. The person could have had HIV, but I never told anyone as I didn't want to have ARVs and didn't want to go for all the testing. I was worried about it for quite a long time, though. Ooh.
Sheesh. That is quite scary. Me, with my medical anxiety, I would be very scared of that.
I would honestly just get tested. I think that a couple of things I do want to note is that this person, as a listener, you might be listening and saying, like, how can this person assume that, like, someone had HIV? But by the way, like, that's a very common thing in this country.
South Africa. Yeah.
Yes. But I would still get tested. I don't know. Like, that's how HIV is contracted. So I would be scared and get tested. But anyways, that's just me.
Yeah.
That is scary, though.
No, working in a state hospital, I think, is terrifying. But there was a whole thing. Carry on?
It's just like it's a very different environment, and I like really commend people who like willingly choose to work in state hospitals when they could live a cushier life per se, like opening a private practice or whatever the case may be. Like I have a lot of respect for people who feel called to. I mean, it's not all state hospitals, but I have seen some that
even
scary.
The better ones are not. So one of our friends actually, who is working in a state hospital at the moment, I think she's in the Eastern Cape at the moment. I can't remember, but they had to perform a C-section during load shedding because the hospital didn't have a generator. Like horrifying. So very scary.
Bizarre. But yes, this we're still doing this collab with Eskom, so
yeah.
Shoot.
Okay, next story. I think I'm reading here. Okay.
Yes.
You can pick up my phone so I can actually see. Okay. I found
out
you
I are old.
Thank you. I knew you were going to say that. Okay. I found out I had a hole in my heart that I was born with, and that if I didn't get an open heart surgery, I would die an early death. I survived, but it was pretty scary. That is very scary.
That
Once
is
again,
scary.
More medical stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that is quite scary. Also, I think you live with this constant not knowing, and that could be scary. Which is, I'm sure, how you feel. Like we've spoken about it on the podcast before. But having your lung collapse, there's probably this impending, like, oh my gosh. I mean, the chances are slim. like very slim compared to someone who's like living with a hole in their heart. But it's still scary.
Oh, yeah. I found, so for me, if you guys didn't know, when I was 13, my lung collapsed spontaneously for literally no reason. It usually happens to very tall teenage boys, and I was a short, like, just turned 13 teenage girl, like literally just turned 13, like a month and a few days before.
Scary story.
And it was my first day of grade 8 orientation, so there was that. And yeah, it was pretty scary at the time, but I was actually all right with it. But then, like, I'd say actually a year after the incident, then I started getting a lot of anxiety attacks. And yeah, that wasn't pleasant. But now I don't really feel anxious about it anymore, because I realized that I actually have as much chance of it happening again as anyone else does, because when they did the operation, they basically like sewed or glued my, I don't know any of the correct terms, but they basically glued my lung to like the side of my rib cage or something. So something like that.
Cool.
So I'm not too scared of that anymore.
Yeah.
But I would be scared if I had a hole in my heart.
Yeah. But it was awesome that like the kind of surgery, like an open heart surgery where they can fix something like that exists.
Amazing.
So praise the Lord for that.
Amen.
Okay. Cool. Wow, okay, this is bizarre. When we were walking in Hout Bay, I was one step away from being struck by lightning. No.
I want to know what happens next.
No,
I
but
was
it's
like,
like
okay, and?
you are one step away. So, like, did you see the lightning,
scary.
like, touch? Like, I personally have always not liked lightning. I've always thought I like rain and I like thunder, but I don't like lightning. It, like, freaks me out. And it was so funny because I'm an adult now and we move. So as a child, it scared me more. But I was driving to work yesterday evening for the evening service. And it was 32 degrees here yesterday. Like,
that is a full summer's day.
Weird. And so it was warm. But then all of a sudden, just like the blink of an eye, it was super, super overcast, and it wasn't raining, but I could have sworn I saw lightning. And then I was driving.
But it is like that in KZN, hey?
That's weird, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was like full-on lightning, and all of a sudden I was like, oh my word, I remember reading the story that this person submitted on In Other Words, and I was like, all of a sudden, like, oh, I don't want to die. I literally prayed on the way to It's like, Lord, protect me from the lightning. So I'm glad that you were okay.
Oh yeah, be awful.
The person who
I did see someone else. I'm pretty sure it's the same person. If it's not, then you guys should meet up, because this is literally the same story. And this person said, once when me and my family were walking in Hout Bay, I was one step away from being struck by lightning.
Wait, really? Oh,
we had another submission.
Okay, it has to be.
I'm assuming it's the same person. If
maybe
not, weird.
Maybe he submitted, he or she. I don't know why I'm assuming it's a he.
I also assume it's a he. I think because it's just like no detail. There's no detail.
There's
What's the
no,
stereotype?
Like, full stop.
Like, what's next? Give me the tea.
Yeah, but maybe the person felt like they didn't submit the full story because they said we instead of my family. Yeah. But if these are two separate people who are walking around in Hout Bay almost getting struck by lightning, then
I'm
that's
never
an even scarier story.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is very scary.
Wow.
Cool.
Would you like to read? Yeah.
Yes. One time when we were younger, my friend and myself were doing ding dong excuse. Okay. Same concept as ding dong ditch, but when they answer the door, you make up an excuse as to why you're there. And after this guy answered the door and we gave our excuse, we were about to leave when he called to us and asked us if we wanted to come inside for brownies. Okay. And what next? What are these unfinished stories?
It's obviously the scary part is that this guy asked if they wanted to come in for brownies.
It's only scary if he tried to kidnap you.
Okay. Question.
No, that is scary. Yeah.
Okay.
You're gonna ask about the name.
Why are you putting yourself in that situation? First of all.
True.
Second of all, what do we call this game? Because I actually never played it. Talkie. I couldn't remember.
Yeah, Talkie.
Yeah.
Caleb, yeah. My brother and his friends, they called it ding dong ditch. I've never heard ding dong excuse, but I guess the difference is that you don't
And
run
why do
away.
you make an excuse? I don't understand. You usually play it with your friends on like a camp. So if this guy invited you for brownies, then he clearly wasn't a friend. I think you were playing a different game. You were you were not on the same page as everyone.
Yeah, no, that is scary. You should never go inside a stranger's house and especially take food from a stranger unless you're starving, I guess. But even then, you should be careful.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
Next one. Nearly crashed into another car head on at night. That is scary.
Terrifying.
That is quite scary. Car crashes are scary in general. I will share a story of a friend of mine who had a car accident. He was driving, I think his brother was in the car, and he was driving, and this woman like knocked into him, and she was driving drunk, and like she got out of the car and she was very panicked, and you could see she was like, she kind of understood the weight and the gravity of what she just done, but everything was fine. But he like went to her and was like, it's okay, and I'm like, what a nice person. Wow. Good on you.
Probably wouldn't feel that way if I found out that someone was drunk driving and knocked into my car. I would be like, no, I will slap you unless you have killed me. Then I can't. Yeah, no, it's like, I know it's obviously it's a very like well-known thing that you don't drink and drive. But the thing is, guys, like when you are drinking, your brain fools you into thinking that no, you're fine, you can.
Yeah,
You know.
for sure.
And like I've seen it too many times where people are like, no, it's fine, I'm fine. And I'm like, just because you feel fine doesn't mean that you actually are fine. And like even if you're like sobering up, I mean,
yeah.
sheesh.
I think that even if you are cognitively fine, your senses are still going to be a little bit slow, and your reflexes aren't
Exactly.
going to be as
Exactly.
like on point as they would usually be. So yes,
It's just
don't
not a
drink
risk
and
to take.
drive.
It's just not a risk to take.
Agreed. Okay.
Okay.
This
This
next
next
story
story.
made
Trigger
me
warning.
sick and angry and very sad. Okay, so this is a long one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it says, I was at a friend's 18th, and one of my guy friends that was like a brother to me ended up spiking my drink and taking advantage of me while I was passed out. It's a black space in my memory. I don't know what happened in that time, and I don't ever want to know. I just remember waking up in my friend's bed with this guy next to me, and my jeans were loose. I tried to push him away, but he kept forcing himself onto me, and then he invited his friends to, quote unquote, have a turn. But I was awake by then and tried to get someone I trusted into the room so I could get the guys out, but the one would just tell everyone I was fine and not let anyone come in. Unfortunately, I had really toxic friends and found out a few months later that they said I deserved what happened to me and laughed behind my back, calling me all sorts of names. I'm disgusted to this day with all of those people. I don't mind if you share this or share the story, because unfortunately I'm not the only one that has dealt with this situation. No.
Anger.
Yeah,
I hate that.
it makes me really angry. And something that I've said to you, Danielle, and on this podcast is I don't like the word toxic, and I don't like calling people toxic and saying, oh, these people are toxic friends. But in this situation,
Very
I find
toxic.
it very appropriate. And what's scary is we tell people, like, okay, if you're going to have some sort of party, don't get drunk, that you're completely like have no grip on reality. But if you're going to drink in safe environments. And what's difficult is that she literally said, like, this was one of her guy friends who was like a brother to her who ended up spiking her drink. And so that is scary, because it's like, who do you trust? Like, this is a home environment.
Exactly.
You think that you're with people that you can trust. Yeah, no, that's so scary to me.
Yeah. And like it doesn't even need to be said anymore, but apparently it does. But no means no. obviously. And if you're in a position where you are too drunk to say no, and like guys or girls or whatever, if you're with someone and they are also in a position where they're too drunk to say yes or no, or even if they're drunk in general, you should not try anything with them, because
it's still considered rape, by the way.
Yeah, you're not in your right mind. You don't actually know, first of all, if you consent and you're drunk, you're not really consenting because you're not in your right mind. And like if you can't, then no answer is no.
Yeah.
You know, like I feel like it shouldn't even need to be said anymore. But obviously this guy was just straight up a bad guy.
Yeah. I also think this is just an easy, not an easy, but a good time. Just like even with your drinks, just watch your drinks, like at all times.
It happens.
You know, don't leave your drinks lying around. Yeah. And then another thing that I just wanted to bring up, because it just made me angry, was how the friend said that she deserved it. And for me, I do not care how bad a person is. And she doesn't seem, I doubt she was a bad person. She's a vulnerable teenager. But no one is deserving of being violated in that way. And like I was thinking about it, and I know that what I'm about to say sounds so like dramatic and over the top, but like rape is one of my biggest fears, and I almost think like I would rather just have someone like murder me like quickly than have to deal with the psychological, it's not a physical trauma, like it's the psychological
it can be a physical trauma
for
as well.
sure.
Yeah.
But it's like what you have to carry beyond that once like your physical quote unquote scars have healed. It's very scary. And like even her saying like it's this blank space in her memory. Like I've had a night where I blacked out and nothing like bad happened to me. But I hate that feeling of like such a lack of control. And like the scary thing is like even though she has forgotten and she doesn't want to remember, like our psyche is sometimes not something we have control over, and like you can easily be triggered by things. And so I don't know, I think like I'm assuming this person listens to this podcast, so I'm sorry. Like I'm really really sorry. And honestly, I would have reported it. I have no shame. I think if these things happen to you, report, because so many rapes just don't go reported because they're not taken seriously. But just
and even so, I've heard like if you don't necessarily want to do the whole reporting thing, you can still go to the hospital and they can still
do a rape kit and
they can still do all those things. But that is a terrible story, and it happens to way too many people, and it's very, very sad. Okay, the next story. So we don't need to do the Hout Bay one again.
No.
Okay. A few years ago, I was about 17 or 18 at a New Year's Eve house party. Everyone was obviously drinking, and it was a good night. So at midnight, one guy wanted to set off a homemade firecracker. Basically, it was a bunch of small crackers tied to a big one and loaded with gunpowder. Anyway, the owner of the cracker was indeed highly intoxicated. So at midnight, the cracker gets set off in the backyard without formal warning to anyone. After it gets about 50 to 70 meters in the air, it explodes. Sparks, fire, and bits of cracker raining down, burning anyone and anything. Bear in mind, at that point, there were probably 8 to 10 people standing in the backyard when this thing exploded. I hid under a tree which was stupid, as the rain of fire and cracker came down, praying it doesn't hit me. Thankfully, everything landed right beside me, and I was all good. The only person that got somewhat hurt was a girl whose long, thick hair caught a small spark and got slightly burned. She was not happy, as she had just been to the hairdresser earlier that day. I don't know what was scarier, the rain of fire or the girl's scream when she looked in the mirror and saw her hair afterwards. Wow, I'm glad that didn't have a worse ending.
That is horrifying. There is a reason why firecrackers are illegal. And this is like, could be arson. If like the house was set on fire, this person could go to jail.
Yeah.
No, that is terrifying. Also, having your hair, whether you went to the hairdresser or not, if my hair were on
know.
fire. Did you see
I'd
that
be
video
really
of
annoyed.
Nicole Richie? Where it was her birthday and she blew out her birthday candles. It was this year. And her hair
It's
was
ringing a
set
bell.
alight.
It's ringing a bell. Horrifying.
Terrifying. No,
I've
but
also
that
had
is
a nightmare about
terrifying.
that. With my hair caught on fire.
I know.
I am actually quite scared of fireworks.
Me too. Especially like, scary story, but my cousin, my aunt, uncle, cousins, their big dog killed their small dog on Guy Fawkes because the dog just freaked out with the fireworks and just kind of like
Went berserk.
yes, and attacked this little dog. And
shame.
that story has like stuck with me my whole life, and that's
horrifying.
why I'm terrified.
Yeah. So when I was little, my grandparents had a holiday house in Stolbay,
Where they now live and
Where they now
play.
live.
What do they play?
I literally can never remember the game, but I don't think they've started playing yet. Yuckske.
Okay. Yuckske.
I don't think they've started playing yet.
Okay.
Anyway, so on New Year's Eve in Stolbay, basically everyone goes to the beach and a lot of people set off firecrackers. You can buy
I've been
firecrackers
there.
and all that.
I've been to Stillby on New Year's.
On New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
So, like, I remember, like, when we were little, like, we go to sleep and then wake up and then go to the beach to the fireworks. But I was always very scared because I think most of the people lighting the fireworks were drunk because it was New Year's Eve. And I'd seen it too many times where it just went off on the beach. And, I hated it. And it was just too close for me.
It is scary. You're literally right there. No, fireworks are fine from, like, far, far away.
Yeah. Like,
unless you're at Disneyland.
Disney World.
Yeah, Disney
World. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Those are very nice fireworks there. But
No,
not a big fan. And if you set off fireworks in a suburban area where there are animals, you should be very ashamed of yourself. Anyway.
Yes.
Next story.
Okay. All right. Once upon a time, the story was lame. Someone told this to me in person. So I know who this is.
I also know who this is.
And I was like, get over yourself. But I think that's because I know him. Okay. Yeah. Once upon a time, this actually happened, but he starts the story with once upon a time. I was playing PC with my brother after a rather odd day. A scary, typical high school voice note was doing the rounds, telling people to share the voice note or a little dead kid named Sherwin would come to haunt you. The name makes it funny. I don't know why. No offense to any Sherwins listening.
Yeah, it's just not scary.
The whole day, the voice note was on the both of our minds as we decided to braveheart it and break the chain of horrors. They didn't forward the voice note. Scandal.
Scandal.
That night, while playing PC, my brother was getting cold and needed to get a jacket out of his closet, which was next to him. Before doing so, I made the remark, "What if Sherwin is in your closet?" Both of us nervously laughed it off. Thereafter, my brother began to reach for his closet's handle with caution, knowing very well Sherwin wasn't in his closet. The sweat on his palms and the tremor of his hands would have said otherwise. I love how this is written.
Same.
Okay.
Very poetic.
He grabs hold of the closet's handle and pauses momentarily. He takes a deep breath in, closes his eyes slightly, cringes his face. I'm reading a novel here. And slowly begins to open his closet. Maybe I'm supposed to read it more dramatically. Split seconds later, the lights go out. Both my brother and I fall to the ground with squealing cries, thinking our lives were about to come to a quick end. It was 10 p.m. on the dot, and probably the first time ever that Eskom was on time. The end.
Shivers. Only the last part, though.
So Eskom came for them, not Sherwin.
It did. Yeah. Do you remember
Moral
getting
of the
those like
story.
voice messages and
I never got a
messages?
voice note, but I used to get
I never got a
messages.
voice note. Yeah,
Messages all the time. If you don't share this, then you're going to be haunted or attacked or killed.
yeah. Like if
And
you say
the
this
best,
3 times in front of the mirror, then blah, 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 blah. Like,
no, the
oh my
best is like
gosh.
old people still share this on Facebook, but not like
Oh
the
my
scary
word.
ones. They're like, you don't care about people's mental health if you don't share this post.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, I have to share, otherwise I don't care about people's mental health.
Yes. And I see like Christian ones where it's like
Yes.
this if you're a child of God. If you miss, then you're a child of Satan. So intense.
Facebook is scary, that's what I think.
A very scary place.
Yes. Comment amen if you believe this.
Yes.
Okay, so we
Okay.
had 2 voice notes that were sent to us that we are going to play now.
Yes. Okay. Let's do this thing. I need to take off like one of my headphones.
Hey, In Other Words podcast. My name's Alana, and I am Zara's favorite. No, I'm joking. She's the best. Actually, no, she's not. She just told me to tell you that. Anyways, no, she's really cool. So, also, I'm from Canada. That's why I have a Canadian accent. Basically, my scariest moment was actually funny, but it was like really scary at the same time. So we have like this property, well, my old house. We had this property next to our house. It was kind of like uninhabited in a way. Like the lady who lived there like was in Australia half the time and she kind of just left this place to go to wreck and ruin in a sense. And so me and my friend Cara went and decided to go explore as one does when they're bored. And so we were like bundu bashing like and like the property goes like way down. Like you don't understand. It's not a normal like a few little bushes here and like a patch of grass here. No, it's like a forest. It's a full on like avo plantation with like thick like indigenous forests. So we were like bundu bashing our way down, and we got to the bottom of the property where there's a stream, and we were walking along, and then I see like this shiny like metal wire thing. I'm like, what is this? And I say, oh my goodness, it's a snare, and I was so like taken aback because I was like, that's so weird, and it was like fresh, like you could see the people had just put it down. And so I was like, Cara, look, like somebody was so rude. They literally just put a snare here. Anyways, so I look up in front of me and I see in the bushes there's a shirt, like somebody standing there, probably like, I don't know, 7 meters away. There's just like somebody standing in the bushes and I'm like, oh my goodness, they literally just heard it. Like me and Cara like looked at each other, we just like stared at each other. We're like, sorry, I'm talking so fast. We literally just stared at each other and we're like, the poachers are literally like right here. Like, what on earth do we do? And I was so mortified because I was like, I just blurted out that they were so rude to put a snare here. So I don't know why, but I picked up the snare and we like bolted as fast as we could. Like scrambling through the bushes, like twigs were like scraping against our skin. We were so tired, but we only realized how tired we were at the top of the hill because we were literally petrified. We were like, oh my goodness, these people could have guns on them, they could have knives, they could like be running after us. So we just like bolted up that hill, sprinting as fast as we could. Bear in mind, it's like a very steep hill as well, and it's rough terrain. It's not like a little athletic track. It's like a full-on jungle. So, oh, that was probably like the most scared I've ever been in my entire life. But it was fun, like looking back on it. And then, sorry, this is like super long. But then we got up to the top and I'm like, Dad, because you can see our house through like the fence because it's like at the top. So I was like, Dad, you won't believe it. Like we just saw poachers. And he's like, oh, okay. And we're like, you don't understand. Like this is a life or death situation. And then we proceeded to go and have like a picnic in the same property. We're like, yeah, they're not gonna chase us. It's fine. Yeah. So that was kind of scary. Anyways, this is super long. Bye.
Absolutely
Hectic.
no. Who goes bundu bashing, first of all? Don't do that. Especially
My
as two
father.
young girls.
Oh yeah, no thank you.
No. Also, so snare is obviously like a trap. But in my mind, when I first heard this, I was like picturing like a snare drum.
Drum.
What is this snare doing in the wilderness?
Wow, so weird. Must be the Poachers. My favorite band.
So good. No, but this, I would be scared if whether they were poachers or not, whether I found something or not. If I was like if I just looked up and saw someone like staring at me while I was in the middle of like an unknown territory, I would be terrified.
Yeah.
what's also interesting is she said, like, we didn't even realize how steep the hill is. And it just reminded me that, like, I think as humans, when, like, put to the test or under, like, extreme stress, like, our adrenaline kicks in and we can do
Exactly.
things that we never thought possible. So at least we have that
Very
going
scary.
for us.
Yes. I would be very scared if I saw a poacher because those people are
They have
very
no,
scary.
no.
I have actually seen a poacher before. I was in Pearly Beach on holiday with some friends, and a few of us, I think it was just the girls, we were swimming in the sea.
Oh,
like,
this is
the
where
one
you went on
evening.
your couple's getaway that I wasn't invited to. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, shame. Too bad you didn't have a boyfriend. Loser. Kidding.
Loser.
Kidding. Anyway, so then me and this one of my other friends, we were swimming, and the next thing, like, I kept on saying, like, oh, it looks like there's a person's head over there, but at the same time, there was a lot of like kelp heads
Yes.
that were popping up in the distance. So I was like, oh, it's probably just like a really big piece of kelp. And then I was like, no, that is for sure a person, because like he was swimming towards us. And so we were like, okay,
Terrifying.
we're getting out of the water right now. And just so you know, Pearly Beach is like, that whole coastline is, there's a lot of poaching that happens there, like a lot of abalone poaching. I think
Yes.
the town that has the most poaching is Houston, which is just before Hermanus, and Pearly Beach is like a few towns after Hermanus. And yeah, basically we just walked away, and this guy literally starts, like, he has this huge bag, and then we see like two other guys like coming down, and they were literally buying abalone from this guy. And then like one of the girls literally went up to the poacher, and she was like, "Oh, is that abalone? Can we see?" And
Which one was
he
it?
showed.
Was it?
I'm not saying names on this podcast, but
I wanna
I feel
know.
like you know who it is. There
I
can only be
probably
one
do.
person who did it. Anyways, I was not putting myself in that situation. I was walking away because I was not dying that day.
No,
Yeah.
scary.
Basically, that's what happened. And I would not confront a poacher because they are hardcore people.
Yeah, scary. Okay, then the next voice note is from Cara, who is Alana's friend. So she was involved in this Bundu bash, but this is
Okay,
one of her stories.
I'm ready.
Also, here's a little I wouldn't call it a scary story. It was scary at the time. That you can use for your podcast. So it was actually the same day that Lana and I got chased, quote unquote, by poachers. It was during lockdown, and I was illegally at her house. And we were walking to her neighbor's yard, so the lady who has a massive yard. It's very big, and like it's like pretty much a rainforest, not a rainforest, but the African equivalent of one. And as we were walking there, we were walking quite slowly, and we kind of joked before we left that we're like, oh, we just hope that no police, because we had heard like there were a couple of police like on the roads and stuff, and they were checking the people in their houses because it was quite a strict time during lockdown. And we were joking, like saying, oh, the police, they would never come to where she lived because she lives like in Winterskloof, which is like, no one really goes there unless you live there. And as we were walking, and it was a very short walk because it was literally her next door neighbor. As we were walking, like, laughing, talking, next minute we heard her mom shout, like, just scream from the yard, guys, run, there's police coming. Like, she was just screaming, like, police, police. And we're like, what the heck? And so we literally, oh my word, we literally ran. And, like, the gate wasn't unlocking. And we could, like, her mom was like, I hope you, like, shouting over the wall. She's like, I hope you guys are in the property. And yeah, we made it in time with the property, and we didn't get arrested, and we hid behind the wall of the property once we were inside, and we saw the police car drive past. It wasn't very scary, but it was like quite exhilarating. And then of course the whole poaching thing happened that same day, in the like 20 minutes afterwards. So it was a very eventful day.
Why are you going into that forest? That's
Honestly,
my question.
this is clearly before they met me, and I showed them the straight and narrow way.
Like, nothing good has come from being in that forest.
Foolishness.
Yeah. The police are scary, I'm not going to lie.
Yes.
I'm a bit scared of the police.
Even when I know I've done nothing illegal, when I see police, I
Yeah.
get nervous.
Yeah. My dad is scared of the police.
I can't imagine that.
He does have some stories involving policemen that you should ask him, Zara, because I'm not going to share it on the podcast.
I'm very interested to know.
All right, guys. So you might notice that we are in different clothes and maybe the lighting is different. Who knows what's different really? I can't remember.
How scary.
So scary. And that is because we recorded the first part of this episode over a week ago, actually. Yeah. Technical difficulties and then life difficulties because we are too busy at church all the time.
Busy. At least I get paid by the church. You don't even get paid. Shame.
So true, bestie. I'm going to revolt. Okay, so Zara, do you want to tell us what we're going to do next?
Yes, I think we're going to close off. This episode is almost finished. Oh, if you're an audio listener, obviously you can't see our clothes, so ignore us. We'll ignore what we just said. Don't ignore us. Okay, so we're going to close the episode off with just some of our scary stories. I don't really have like anything super hectic, but I just wanted to go through some things that I have found scary. So I'll discuss them really quickly. Okay, so once I had like a demonic dream, and I swear to you, I feel like the devil was like right there in my dream. Like I woke up screaming. Yeah, I don't know, it felt like this weird war between Satan. Like I've never felt so uncomfortable in a dream, and it's only ever happened once. So that was scary. Not cool.
Not cool at all.
This happened like a couple of weeks ago, actually, just before we recorded. I can't remember which episode we recorded. But I got to the church because I generally record at church most of the time. And I was here alone. It was night. It was storming outside and dark. And then
spooky.
Indeed. And then I was sitting in my office, but obviously I had my headphones on, like prepping for like the pod. And then like I feel like I heard something or someone, but I was like, oh no, it's probably nothing. And then I was like, no, I definitely hear someone. So I look at the window and I quickly like saw a figure and I was like, I'm going to pass away. So I went to the front gate to lock it because I'm obviously here alone. Churches are scary anyways.
They are.
And then I locked the gate and then eventually someone came to the door and I was like, I got such a fright. And then he said he was from security and the alarm had gone off. Was I okay? And I was like, yes. I didn't like open for him or whatever. But literally just before I started discussing, so before we had this conversation, he was like, hi, I'm from security. And the power cut. So I was standing.
No, thank you.
This guy was in front of me and it was pitch black. And I almost passed away.
I would die.
He really was from security. I was fine. The electricity went back on like 2 minutes later. Thank goodness. But
Once again, well, I don't know if that was Eskom related or just wonderful Hilton related, but like, once again, Eskom is the bad guy in the story.
The antagonist.
The antagonist.
Okay, then another scary story. So I once was out with friends, and then they wanted to go to like another place. It was like very much like a bar, club scene or whatever. And I was not keen.
Cool.
But like I was the friend with the car, so we went. P.S. I just had my learners, not my license. And so we went.
So safe.
And I was so anxious, and I ended up having a panic attack in the bathroom. And then like my friends didn't really want to leave, and then when we eventually left, it was dark. I didn't have a license, so I was driving with my learners. I had a licensed driver with me, but still.
Yeah.
And it was raining, and there were 7 people in my 2-door car, and I thought
no.
I was going to pass away.
Oh, shame.
How awful.
That's very, very awful.
I know how to stand up for myself now, though.
Yeah, good.
And I generally probably won't be in such a situation ever again.
Is it legal if you're a learner driver, if like the driver in your car is drunk? Like, is that legal?
I don't know, but the driver wasn't drunk. The driver had been like drinking, but definitely not drunk.
Yeah.
But that sounds illegal. I don't know though.
Yeah, I feel like it should be, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't make the laws here.
No, you don't.
But yeah, that is
Problem
a very
number
scary
one.
story. Do you have some
They're
more
not
for us?
scary. Yeah, it's not that scary. But like at the time it was scary was
No, but
our
it
Cedarburg
is.
jumps.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
So
That's scary in a good way, though.
Yes. So we go to the Cedarburg. I say we, but like I live across the country now, which by the way, it was very scary moving across the country by yourself. But we do like cliff jumping. It's not like hectic. It's like what, like 8
No.
meters.
I don't know. It's not hectic.
So-
Some people do really, really hectic ones. Like they go to the highest rock they can go to, and I'm
The
like,
boys,
and girls.
the people you're related to and you date.
This year, lots of girls like did the really high jumps, and I was like, wow, this is a new breed of young adults in our church, apparently.
Clearly.
Like, I'm not doing that though. I'm very
So that
happy
was
with
scary,
my low high
but
jumps.
lots of fun.
Very fun.
Low high jumps. And then once had someone was in like a house with someone who was sleepwalking, and I'm sorry, but there's nothing more terrifying than that.
No,
It happened twice in one night, and when I woke up, this
Uh-uh.
person was sitting at the edge of my bed staring at me,
I would die.
and I had
It's
to
so
like, wake them
creepy.
up. Not a time.
Shame.
Then when I think I was 12, and I was in the shower, and I swear to you, I heard a woman scream. Like scream. So I stopped the shower and like put on my towel and I ran downstairs, and I was the only one that apparently heard someone scream. But I swear to you, I
Awful.
heard someone scream. So that was terrifying.
Awful.
And then last but not least, the reason that I don't watch scary movies, like I really don't do horror, it's not for me, is when I was 13, I watched a movie called Blessed, which I don't know how hectic it really is, but it was about this woman. I didn't like realize really, but it was about this woman, and she like, I don't know, was like impregnated with like Satan's baby or something.
Ew, weird.
And it just completely wrecked my childhood.
That's awful.
And that is all I have for you. The movie was called
Thank you.
Blessed.
Yeah. That sounds really horrible. I'm also not a horror fan, to be honest.
No.
I like some thrillers, and I like
Yes, I can do
movies
like
with suspense.
psychological thrillers are good.
yeah.
Like the Zodiac. We watched we watched Zodiac, or what was the other one with
Seven. That one.
Seven? See, I could do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Like it's still
But like
not pleasant,
great.
but I mean like horror. I don't know.
Horror
I'm just not into
and
it.
like supernatural. If it's supernatural, then I won't even like pretend. I won't even like.
Oh really?
Yeah, if it's like,
I
if there's anything demonic or
Oh no. Weird. I liked A Quiet Place because it's not like
to be fair, I would like to see that.
yeah. It's on Netflix now, I think.
Let's watch it on New Year's Day and have McDonald's.
Perfect.
Let's try that.
Sounds like a plan. It'll definitely work because we'll definitely be awake enough to watch it.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I had something to relate to, but I actually can't remember. What was your first story? Is that something?
The dream.
Oh,
The
I've actually
night
had
at the church.
No, it was the dream. I think I've had a similar dream when I was much younger, but I didn't. I remember it feeling like really, really dark. But I just remember like in my dream I was running away, and there was this person. It was like a fiery person. Like it was like a person who was like really, really hot,
I
almost chasing
also
me.
saw fire.
Yeah, and then it like got me and it like pushed me over, and then I woke up after that, and I remember feeling like, ugh, super heavy and
So
gross
scary.
after that. Yeah.
What's that thing that a lot of people struggle with? Not a lot of people, but it's
Sleep
like
paralysis. Paralysis.
No, but it's that specific one where
Apnea?
like
No.
yes, That's right.
Is sleep? No, but you think of sleep paralysis, aren't you?
I
Isn't
don't
sleep
know,
apnea
but
when you
it's
stop breathing?
Oh, maybe. But
It's like when
whatever
you're
it
awake, but
is-
you're like not really awake, and also you see something like in your room with you.
Yes, that
Isn't
is
that sleep
very scary.
paralysis?
Probably.
I've low key had sleep paralysis before.
No. See, it like my demonic dream felt a little bit like that, but I didn't feel like something was on me or that I like was being
So
strangled.
sleep
Like,
paralysis. Oh, so it occurs in people who have narcolepsy or sleep apnea.
Google is
So
our
what is
friend.
sleep apnea? I think it's when you stop breathing.
Sleep apnea is potentially a serious sleep disorder in which breathing repeatedly stops and starts. Why are
That's
you
scary.
so clever?
Yeah. I know someone who has it, I think.
Okay.
Oh, so I once like low key had sleep paralysis, but it wasn't actually like spooky or like scary or anything, but it just wasn't nice. But I dreamt in my dream, I was like lying down, and also like in real life I was lying down like in the same positions. Like I knew almost that I was dreaming, but also not. I don't know how else to describe it, but like I couldn't move. And in my dream, there were like puppies at my feet, and they were super cute, and they started licking my feet, and then they started biting my toes, and I literally couldn't move.
That sounds so pleasant.
It was not, because I was like, they're gonna flip and bite my toes off, but they didn't. Anyway, that's all I have to say, really. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm thankful that I've not lived a terribly scary life.
Me too.
Yeah. I mean, car accidents are always scary, but we've spoken about that. But I think that's all.
That's all. So yeah, thanks guys for listening, and thank you for sharing your stories with us. It was a lot of fun.
Yes. We hope that you are not super scared. And two fun things that I used to be afraid of that I'll end this episode with. When I was a child, I was afraid of Michael Jackson.
Fair.
And first of all, because I saw the Thriller video, and then I saw that he was a white man, and I was like, something is wrong
white man?
here.
No. Yeah.
Newgall. Is that from Newgall?
Yes.
And then I was afraid to flush the toilet at night, which there's no logical sense, but I was terrified to flush the toilet at night.
I was scared of pulling the plug out the bath. I hated the noise it made.
Anyways, join us again for Irrational Fears.
Yes, my word. Okay, so what is our outro?
If you enjoyed this episode,
Sharing is caring. So,
yes. In other words,
share this with all of your friends and anyone you've ever met in your whole life.
amen.
Okay,
Or
bye guys.
someone is going to haunt you.
Yeah,
and you're going to...
If you don't share this
tonight-
episode 10 times, you'll have... there will be a ghost in your room. Just kidding, I'm not wishing that upon anyone. Okay, well, maybe.
Okay, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.